Hi everyone, Katie Montana here. Now, I actually did mention about Sesame Street Old School, and the question is Sesame Street Old School an evolution of Sesame Street? Well, the answer is yes. You see, these DVDs are like the compilation, so they actually put one episode from each season, and they did that so we can see the changes that they've went through throughout the years, of course, and everything. Like an example, in Volume 1, it goes from 1969 to 1974. Volume 2 goes from 1974 to 1979. And as for Volume 3, which I don't have, it goes from 1979 to 1984. And if there was a Volume 4, it will go from 1984 to 1989, of course. So now we've been wondering how did all of these changes go throughout the years? Well, in the booklet with Volume 1 and 2, alongside with 3, it actually shows like the changes. Of course. Now, let me take a look here. Now, first off, I'm going to say this. Starting off with the first season of Sesame Street. You see, what it used to look like first is that the sidewalk used to go all the way really long, of course, until all the way down to episode 130. And by the time in 1970, when the second season came, this is when episode 131 came. And this time, Sesame Street had lots of good changes, and the changes were this. So, this time, they've added a tire swing and a garage on the set, which is good, of course. And this time, there's actually a curve. There's actually a turn thing so that they walk this way, and Hooper's store is there, alongside with the Fix-It shop, of course. And it kept like that ever since the years went by, of course. And let's see. And there's a few things, and it's something to do about the people, of course, including some cast that are joining. Now, for the now and then, I'm going to explain about that first. So, there were 3 different actors who played Gordon, of course. The first one was Matt Robinson. He was the first person who played Gordon from 1969 to 1971, who sadly passed away, of course. Rest in peace, Matt Robinson. He was also in some other shows, of course. And then Hal Miller played Gordon, and he was the second one, of course, until he was done. And then, around 1973, there was Roscoe Orman, who played Gordon up to the very day until his retirement in 2016. Until he came back in 2019 to celebrate 50 years, of course. And same thing and the person, Emilio Delgado, who played Luis, he joined in 1971, who is now gone, rest in peace. And so the Loretta Long, who played Susan, and let's see, so Loretta Long played Susan until 2016, of course, and then there was Sonia Mananzo, I believe that's her name. She played Maria around the 70s until her retirement. And for Oscar, you see, he was actually purple at that time ever since. But when Oscar made his first appearance in Sesame Street, he was orange. But get this, you see, throughout the early episodes, they only actually had to open up his lid so Oscar would pop his head out, and his eyelids actually moved sideways. Of course, but later on, and around season 1, this time they've updated the Oscar puppet. He still remained orange, but this time he has hands, so that way he can actually pull up the lid, of course. And he's also performed by Carol Spinney, the same person who also did Big Bird, of course. So, the last time that Oscar was being orange on the first season of Sesame Street was around 130. And then, around 1970, in episode 131, Oscar is now green, of course. And he's still green up to this very day. He looks better when he's green. And as for Big Bird, you see, in the first season, he had like less feathers and he was kind of a bit creepy. But as the years went by, when they updated the Big Bird costume, there were more feathers on Big Bird. Until what he is now. The Big Bird that we know and love, of course. And again, the person who does Big Bird, Carol Spinney. Rest in peace, Carol Spinney. Yeah. But the thing is, there's also a change for Ernie. You see, when he first appeared, his sweater used to be like red, orange, and purple, of course. But in the second season, he is now in his actual time-honored sweater. Red, white, and blue, of course, up to this very day. Of course. And around and then during the part of the 1970s, even though it doesn't show anything on here, but in the 1970s, wait for it, Snuffy made his appearance. He had green eyes and he looked super creepy looking, of course. I actually checked out a scene on YouTube when the kids got screamed when they got scared of Snuffy. But at least they actually get to meet Big Bird's best pal Snuffy since the 70s. And then later on, they gave Snuffy a newer design, a friendly one, of course. So he now has white eyes, and he looks so nice. And they keep doing it until at the time when Gordon and the rest thought that Snuffy was Big Bird's imaginary friend until he was fully revealed to them in 1985, of course. Yeah, so this is during this, and as for, let me look at the booklet here and find too to see about the things on here. So yeah, so in 1979, this is when Big Bird reached to China, and that's when they did Big Bird in China, of course, which is later in the 80s. Trying to see what else they mentioned. Oh yeah, so Herry Monster made his first appearance in the second season, and his nose was hairy before it was smooth. But as the years went by, this time Herry Monster's nose is now smooth. No more hair, of course. And he's still like that up to the very day, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And there was the actor and her, I don't know his name, but he played and it was David, and he was Mr. Hooper's assistant in Hooper's store throughout the years, of course. And as for Volume 3, which I don't have, in the booklet, it actually shows about Telly Monster. Now, you see, when Telly Monster made his very first appearance in episode 1257, if you look at him closely, he kind of looks a bit creepy because he had like antennas on his head, antennas of a TV and everything, and he kind of looks like an alien, not a monster. But as it went by, Telly looks a bit better like how he is now. He is now an actual hairy monster a hairy monster that we know and love. Everyone loved Telly, and he was amazing, of course. And around the 80s, that was the time when the actor Willie, who played Mr. Hooper, passed away. That's why in the bonus feature, when it's called Goodbye Mr. Hooper, which is also the name of the episode, that's when Big Bird actually did some drawings of his friends that he knows and loves. Gordon, Susan, David, Maria, Louise, etc. Until when he showed the last one, which is Mr. Hooper, and that's when they told him that he passed away. Everyone loved Mr. Hooper, and he was amazing. Even though when Big Bird was sad and he asked who's going to make his birdseed milkshakes and stuff, and that's when David said that he's going to be running the Hooper store to make his birdseed milkshakes and stuff, because his Mr. Hooper taught him everything, of course. And they would tell him stories too. Yeah, but it's a good thing Big Bird kept it in memories, of course. So yeah, in loving memory to Mr. Hooper, Willie, of course. Yeah, and if there was a volume 4, then it would be a lot more. But get this, I noticed in the booklet of volume 3, this is where Elmo made his very first appearance. The furry monster that we know and love, of course. You see, he was performed by first puppeteers because the first few ones, because you could tell his voice sounds like I am red. Until later on, when Kevin Clash came in, till he was done in 2012. Yeah, I only grew up with the Kevin Clash's Elmo, of course. But if there was a volume 4, like I said, they would actually have some episodes that are shown from those times, and they'll actually have an episode when Snuffy is fully revealed to the grown-ups, and also the rest, like Maria and Luis gets married, and then the coming of Gabby, etc., etc., of course. And they'll have Jeff Goldblum made his appearance on there playing as Minneapolis, and all that. So yeah. So Sesame Street's old school is an actual evolution of Sesame Street on the things how it goes from then to now, which is going from all the different changes. And it was mostly the good changes. No bad changes at all. Just the good ones, of course. But the changes were the different puppeteers, because due to their passings and retirement and stuff, and I actually did hear what their voices sound like, and just to be honest, I'm just not a fan of the new voices, because I never grew up on those voices. But maybe I'll do a video about the Jim Henson puppeteers that I grew up with in another video sometime. But yeah, so yeah, so Sesame Street Old School is the actual evolution of Sesame Street. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, send some comments, and hit the bell button for brand new videos, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.